Welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are doing well and welcome to another week of personal finance tips. Today, we are going to talk about a very taboo topic, and that is credit cards. Credit cards. Swipe that credit card. Swipe that credit card. Okay, credit cards. The reason a lot of Americans are in debt, they ruin families, they ruin finances, they ruin retirement plans. And we're just gonna talk about credit cards. So I love credit cards. I think if you use them the right way and responsibly, they could actually save you a lot of money, believe it or not. And it all goes back to the philosophy of a credit card. When you get a credit card, think of it, treat it like how you treat your debit card. And every time you're about to buy something, think, would I purchase this with my debit card? If the answer is no, you don't need to be charging it on your credit card. It's as simple as that. If you wouldn't buy a $5,000 TV because you don't have $5,000 plus in your checking account, don't go and charge it on a credit card. This is how people get in debt. This is how people are financing TVs, financing vacations, and getting charged a ton of interest on these unnecessary expenditures. To get that out of the way, to just get you out of like this mindset of, oh, this is extra money that I have and I can just pay it back later. Do not think of a credit card that way. So why do people use credit cards? Let's talk about how financially responsible people use credit cards and why we use them. So it is very easy for people to skim debit cards. If you use a debit card at an ATM or at a gas station, it is very easy for your debit card to be skimmed and for someone to have access to your funds and just keep on swiping until eventually they're not able to purchase things anymore. And it is hard to get your money back if your debit card is erroneously charged. I'll tell you a story. When I first moved to New York, I ordered bedding from Bath & Body Works. Their website had some sort of glitch, and I kept on keying my debit card information. It would never take me to another landing page. Nothing would happen. And so I didn't think, because I wasn't getting a confirmation or anything, that they were actually charging my debit card. I log into my bank account. Bath & Body Works has taken $800 out of my debit card. Because usually when you swipe your debit card, like, that charge is taken out. It's not like a pending charge on a credit card. Like, no, that was gone. And I had just moved here. And luckily, I had a lot of money. Like, it wasn't going to hurt me with rent or anything. And long story short, it took the bank like 2 weeks to investigate it. They had to investigate it, fill out paperwork, talk to the merchant, and all of that stuff. That would have never happened with a credit card. As soon as you dispute a charge on a credit card, they actually put that money back in and then they go and investigate. It's not the other way around with debit cards. So it's much safer to use a credit card because the bank has special interest in getting that money back since it is their money. It's not the credit card, that isn't your money, it's the bank's money. So they have a special interest in getting that money back as soon as possible. I would never ever use the same card in which my paychecks are getting deposited into at a supermarket, at a Forever 21, at this store, at this restaurant. That's just too much anxiety. Like, I don't want anyone to know what my debit card information is, my checking account, routing information, and that's why all my bills just get charged to my credit card. So if you're getting your paychecks and you're using the debit card in which your paycheck is being held, in which you need that money to pay rent, I would highly consider just putting all your expenses on your credit card and paying them off. And that's how you're supposed to use it, right? You're supposed to charge expenditures on your credit card that you are used to paying for, that you have the funds to pay for these expenses, but you're just using a credit card for it, because credit card companies have various rewards. They're saying, like, if you use our card for groceries or gas, you get 5% cash back. And that's great. If you have a car and you're always paying for gas or paying for groceries, charge those expenditures on your credit card, because you know you're going to spend that money anyway and get the 5% cash back. If you're using your debit card, there's no return for any money that you spend, not even 5%, 0% return. So strategically, it just makes sense. Come on, man. It's just, you do the math and it just makes sense to use a credit card for those reasons. Caleb and I we have travel cards. So these are cards that just reward you in the form of travel points. We can book flights for a discounted amount by redeeming our points. We can book hotels. And so those are the kinds of cards we use. But there's many different cards that touch a bunch of different categories, and they could just save you so much money. I have saved so much money on flights and hotels just because of redeeming my points, and just because I charge my regular bills to my credit card. Like, my debit card would never get me anything out of it, But yes, a credit card, that is not extra money. That is not the bank loaning you extra money to go and fund a lavish lifestyle. And people need to get out of that mindset. I know a couple people used to have credit cards, got in debt, and now they've completely knocked credit cards off their list. It's very hurtful for you long term, just because of the reasons I stated earlier. If your paycheck is getting put into your checking account and you're using the debit card linked to your checking account to go and pay for things at different stores and restaurants, it's just not a good look. That just gives me anxiety. If you're totally put off from credit cards, there are some debit cards that have a cashback option. Discover is doing cashback debit cards, but I would just advise open different checking accounts. So maybe you have one checking account which is where your paychecks are getting deposited into, and then you have another checking account that has money in it that you use for bills and restaurants and all of that. But just separate those sources. And so I hope you took a lot away from this conversation about credit cards. They are actually great when you learn how to effectively use credit cards, and especially when you find a credit card that fits your lifestyle, whether you travel a lot or you spend a lot on groceries and gas. You can truly find one that ultimately saves you a lot of money in the long run. So feel free to ask me any questions about them, but most important thing is just do not use a debit card in which just don't use it. Don't use those debit cards. In fact, I don't even know where my debit card is. I actually need to freeze my debit card. But yeah, I hope you took a lot away from this. Feel free to ask me any questions. Bye.